As people are going through these deconstruction processes, I told you it's not going to just include religion. That's why you have to be really, really aware of what you are believing about what you are doing, because you can easily go from being religiously indoctrinated to being just indoctrinated with your sexuality, being indoctrinated with it's mainly what your beliefs are. Your beliefs are not necessarily in alignment with reality. So deconstruction can also take place, as I said, with your sexuality. There are so many people that are claiming that they believe they have this certain sexuality about themselves. They identify a certain way, and I say it's just a bunch of confusion, but that's necessary sometimes to snap people out of their delusion and indoctrination, is to be confused. And that's where gentleness and kindness come in place, whereas you take the time, whereas no one has to know that you're deconstructing, that you are questioning why do I consider myself a lesbian? Why do I consider myself a transgender? Why do I consider myself a liberal? Why do I consider myself a conservative? Go through all of those steps in your life and ask yourself, okay, is this actually in alignment with genuinely who I am, what I am, and why I am? I know there are some people who may have been fascinated, about a certain sexuality. And a lot of people are going through these processes of attempting to determine whether they are a lesbian, whether they are gay, whether they are bisexual. And those, again, are natural progressions that usually take place, however, in your adolescence. We are all confused as hell in our adolescence because we're determining who we are, what we are, and why we are. But so many of us get indoctrinated so early, and it's usually via religion, whereas we quickly jump into the belief cycles of, okay, I need to get married and have children, before you even determine if that's even what you want to do. Imagine that. I thought for the longest that I wanted to have 6 children until I snapped out of that bullshit. Okay? For the longest, I thought when I was a younger person, I related more to, I thought I was a little boy. But then once I started developing myself, because see, I'm so thankful that my parents allowed us a lot of room to cultivate and contemplate, and because we had our own backyard, I can go out there and fantasize and have create these delusions and hallucinations about who I thought I was, what I thought I was, and that is necessary. That's reality. So I'm going around imagining, thinking I'm a boy, when it turns out I am a genuine, bona fide, biological female. And I am so thankful of that. It's just my sexual preference are women, biological women. Okay, so there's a difference. So that's why it's so important that you give yourself the opportunity whenever you can. Once you become a certain age, unfortunately, there are other responsibilities that you have to tend to. That means providing for yourself, putting a roof over your head and blah, blah, blah. But take these moments and take these opportunities to find out who you are, what you are, and why you are. And you may determine that's not who you are at all. I determined, thankfully, as I was coming of age, that I am a bona fide, genuine, 100% biological female, and I'm so thankful of that. My only preference is in my intimacy. My intimacy is preferred with other biological women, and of course a specific type, which is irrelevant to talk about right now. So again, there's a lot of late bloomers, as they call themselves. They're coming out calling themselves lesbians. They're calling themselves transgender. They're calling themselves binary, non-binary, all of these factors of themselves, which does not have much to do with your the fact that you're a genuine human being first. You're a genuine human being first, and you have to accept, you don't have to accept anything, but there's biological females and biological males. There is no third sex. Okay? So you need to identify as either a biological female or a biological man. Now, or accept the fact that that's what you are. Now, how you identify, and the words are so damn confusing because people are claiming they identify as this. Some people claim that they are this, and see, that's where we failed. We failed in determining who we are, what we are, why we are at the ages where we ought to have taken advantage of those opportunities. And again, thankfully, I had the environment and the culture to figure these things out. The religious, even though the whole neighborhood were possibly religious in some shape or fashion, because there was a church on every corner. Okay, so, but at the same time, it's the parents that determine how you will self-educate yourself. Your parents are there as guidance, as protection. My dad was the protector and the provider. My mom was the nurturer. We had the space to figure it out, and it wasn't easy. And then once I moved out on my own, that's when things started to really open up for me. Okay, so take these opportunities. No one needs to know that you're doing this, to figure it out. For some people, it's too late. Certain factors are set in concrete, but you can see if you can crack yourself out of it the best way you can, and be gentle, be kind. You don't owe anybody any you don't need to give anybody a reason why you do this or that and the other. That's on you. If you believe that you were a lesbian and you realize that you're not, that and that you prefer to be with biological men, so what? That's your reality, and it's not for anyone to be concerned about. Or if you are a gay man, or you called yourself a gay man, and then you realize that you're just a little bit more feminine than most so-called men, but you still love intimacy with a woman. So please do this. Figure it out. The social media platform is not the place for it. I'm going to be honest. You're going to get yourself wrapped up in so much more confusion that you're going to might want to harm yourself based on how people are treating each other on the social media platform and what people are saying to each other on the social media platform. It is brutal. It's cruel. So if I were you, take that time to come away from that and say, hey, and be kind and gentle. You can reach out to people. You can reach out to people and say, look, and make sure this person that you're reaching out to has no bias, no hidden agenda, no religious, connotations, or, they need to be able to suspend all of that. They have to suspend their beliefs, their religious dogma, and all of that, so that they can help you, neutralize what you're going through, and help you, to get through this. It's going to be difficult. I'm just being extremely honest with you. And you may not get through it this lifetime, okay? But there will be other lifetimes where you can. So I'm going to go ahead and stop now, talking about this deconstruction process, which I think is beautiful if it's genuine and authentic. But no one needs to know it, okay? And like I said, don't go on the social media platform and get yourself caught up in that web of, that it's a web of criminal negative energy at some, in most cases. Every now and then you'll find a jewel of a person. Like I heard someone talking today. I know they get it. So I know that they are snapping out of it and getting a grip. So that makes me extremely hopeful. And I know it, criminal negative energy does have a hold on this planet. But there will be some that will be able to navigate through it and get to the neutral positive energy aspect of it all, and then help them to continue on to their path to glory. Time will tell. Universal love was always inclusive. We as a humanity divided it and turned it into a commodity.